The other thing that I would say is, and I was just touching on it, is to augment companies' searches with agencies. And there's a quote that I have used, and I know this quote pretty well because I've used it to justify this because there's a cost to it. And that is that there's nothing more expensive than a missed opportunity. And there's pushback because recruiting agencies are expensive. You're talking about $20,000 to $30,000 a head. But first I'll give you experience. As a CRO, even if I reach out to salespeople, I don't get the response that I would want. And I think the reason is because most CROs aren't reaching out to salespeople. Salespeople have their relationships, and they have for 10, 20 years with certain recruiters. So if those recruiters reach out and say this is a great opportunity, they'll listen. If the brand itself reaches out, it's kind of suspect. And there's a lot of noise out there. So I think, for me, making a bet with an agency that's outside the company is a really big deal.
So, but you made a good point there. Sorry, Chris. You made a good point there. What I've seen is a lot of reluctance to approve using external recruiters at 20, 30K a pop, right? Seem to be very expensive. Beyond it just makes sense. Any other thoughts about how to get your CEO, CFO to kind of get that and approve it?
Yep. Well, so first of all, I think especially at high growth, earlier stage companies, what they think is you're joining, so you're just going to have an army of people to join. Well, there are so many extraneous things that back that up. Well, first of all, if you're a CRO, you probably have a contract, and you probably have some pretty big fences around just bringing in the crew from the last outfit you were with. That's one. Two, how do you know if all the people are ready to join at that particular time? And there's just a lot that goes to that. So one of the things that I do is, first of all, I negotiate if we're going to be able to use recruiters before I even start. The lifeblood of the company is people. And without the people, you're just sitting there with a quota on the lot, so to speak, doing absolutely nothing. So number one, I would negotiate up front. Number two, there are a lot of recruitment agencies now are very creative. They're not just $20,000 to $30,000, or they will acquiesce if the volume is there on what they'll take, right, as a percentage of a new hire. That's one thing. The second thing is they'll also take stock. Some of them are not just about straight up cash. So there's a lot of different ways to negotiate that. And then the other thing I would say is it feels like it's death by 1,000 paper cuts if you are in fact spending $20,000 to $30,000 a head and you're hiring out. And you rightfully mentioned that we're hiring out over 30 now. However, if you look at it, you're not going to do every head. You're probably going to do 30 to 40% of them through the outside recruitment agencies. So now you really look at the math. You say, what are we talking about here? It usually comes to about half to maybe 60% of a field level assigned quota. So if you really put it in perspective to the quota out there, it's never what it initially feels like. I think
Right.
it is.
Yeah. And do you offer an internal referral program as well usually?
We do. It's a good point. I find these internal referral programs are usually under-resourced, meaning they just don't pay enough. And then I've seen in other organizations where they do. They're very rich, but nobody knows about it. So that's a two-pronged thing. It's like, okay, train your internal people, tell them why you need them. If they like you from a leadership perspective, they're obviously going to be more willing to refer you. And then tell them what this means. And it's not about, especially people that are not in a sales role, some of them have an allergic reaction to getting, told that they're going to make X amount of dollars by recruiting somebody. It's just a thank you for helping us scale and build a company.